Hello, I'm Scott Bailey and I'm a Senior Natural Resources Specialist with Chelan County Natural Resources Department. This video presents salmon recovery efforts in the Upper Wenatchee and Chihuahua subbasins during 2020. Much work to protect and restore aquatic habitats is underway. It is funded primarily to benefit steelhead trout, Chinook salmon, and bull trout, but benefits extend to many non-target wildlife and plant species. People also benefit in many ways. The Upper Wenatchee and Chihuahua subbasins, shown here in blue, are in the highlands of the Eastern Cascades. Following scientific and engineering best practices and working strategically, these organizations carry out the work being highlighted. In this video, you'll hear about many types of projects. I'm going to start by introducing you to projects completed by Chelan County Natural Resources, and segments by other organizations will follow. In 2019, Chelan County began working with the Bonneville Power Administration to identify and develop restoration actions along a portion of the Upper Wenatchee River on land administered by the U.S. Forest Service, and that's shown here in red. In this image, similar colors are at similar elevations. The lowest areas are deep blue and the highest are brown. The wide dark blue band is the Wenatchee River. We use this type of data to visualize project areas and identify potential restoration actions. The area highlighted by the arrow is a 100-acre floodplain. Historical channels that rarely flow now are dark blue ribbons on this surface. We want to better connect this channel system to the river, improving year-round habitats for young salmon and steelhead. In 2019, BPA engineers developed and modeled early concepts, and in 2020, we hired engineers to further the design process. This image shows potential actions that were identified during this work. Area 3 includes a pilot channel and structures in the main stem channel to better connect the floodplain. Areas 4, 5, and 6 are where rock and large wood may be added to maintain and encourage a braided channel network and enhance in-stream habitats. Over the next few years, we will continue working with BPA, the Forest Service, and others to conduct additional studies, fine-tune and complete engineering designs, and secure permits. Construction is anticipated for summer 2023. We are exploring opportunities to improve habitats for adult and juvenile salmonids on the lower Chihuahua River, a major tributary that merges with the Wenatchee near Plain. This image highlights the lower 14 miles of the Chihuahua River. The figure on the right indicates that the majority of the floodplain outlined in red on the left image is only 1 to 2 feet higher than the adjacent channel, making it a good candidate for reconnection. The stretch of river in purple on the left image is referred to as a plain bed channel. This is an oversimplified channel type with uniform depth and bottom substrates. It lacks the complexity and structure that makes good habitat for our target fish species. Recently, we began working with the Bureau of Reclamation to expand our Lower Chihuahua project and explore opportunities on an additional 10 miles of stream, shown here in orange. Much of this reach is also plain bed and lacks complexity, and there are some opportunities to improve floodplain connectivity. Going forward, we will continue our partnerships and work to identify, plan, and implement projects along the lower 14 miles of the Chihuahua River. Beaver Creek, another tributary to the Upper Wenatchee, is a statewide priority for fish passage barrier removal. We are currently working on a pair of projects that will address 3 barriers on this stream. The lower barrier is an undersized culvert, which impedes fish passage and adversely affects stream function. We are in the design phase of a project to replace the existing culvert with a bridge or larger culvert and anticipate construction in 2022. The Upper Beaver Creek barriers are irrigation diversions. We are currently designing a project to refit these diversions with infrastructure that maintains access to irrigation water while allowing unimpeded fish passage. We anticipate construction will occur in 2022. Chelan County and several partners have been working together for the past several years to protect and steward 3,700 acres of property with headwater streams in both the Upper Wenatchee and Nason Creek subbasins. This is the Nason Ridge Community Forest. In 2020, we completed work funded by the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office and Chelan PUD to vacate and replant roads in this area that contribute fine sediment to streams. In 2021, Chelan County will continue this road work and its efforts to acquire the property from Western River Conservancy. Preparation of a recreation management plan also is expected. In 2017, we began a project to acquire and process LiDAR data for a large portion of the Wenatchee River watershed. LiDAR uses pulsed lasers to collect data that allows for highly accurate and detailed topographic imagery like you see here. In 2020, we completed an effort that used LiDAR data to identify previously unmapped road segments, shown here in red. Data from this project is available to facilitate efforts to reduce delivery of fine sediments from uplands to waterways. If you would like more information about any of the Chelan County Natural Resources Department projects that I've highlighted in this video, please feel free to email me at the address shown here.
Salmon are deeply integrated into the culture, ecology, and economy of our region. However, populations in the Columbia River Basin have been declining for over 100 years, with spring chinook, steelhead, and bull trout at risk of extinction. Overfishing, dam construction, habitat degradation, a changing climate, and our reliance on hatcheries have all contributed. Human actions have led to these declines, and human actions are needed to ensure fish thrive for generations to come. Cascade Fisheries is a nonprofit organization, one of 14 regional fisheries enhancement groups across the state, created by the legislature to support fish recovery on a local level. Our work covers the Wenatchee, Eniat, Methow, and Okanagan basins, and over the past 20 years, we've improved habitat, inspired wonder, and empowered our communities through education, engagement, and stewardship. Our staff, board, and volunteer network are grounded in our communities, and collaborations with landowners and partner organizations allow us to work to restore our watersheds, one project at a time.
There's a lot to learn from rivers, and our work is informed by studying the history and current conditions of our watersheds. Time out in the field surveying and exploring is critical to the development of effective restoration projects. Assessments identify problems and help us understand the factors limiting fish recovery. From our experience on rivers and the technical data we collect, we identify new projects and develop restoration concepts. Monitoring happens on the other end of a project to ensure that goals were met. Following our projects as they evolve over time informs adaptive management and future restoration actions. Our work is science-based and dependent on understanding our river neighborhoods.
Our mantra at Cascade Fisheries is helping people help fish. We provide technical assistance and secure funding for river restoration on private and public property. We focus on 3 primary restoration actions: fish barrier correction, improving river and floodplain habitat quality, and planting streamside vegetation. A passage barrier is a structure that impedes the movement of fish, such as culverts, dams, and irrigation diversions. These structures also limit the downstream flow of water, wood, and sediment, and are high risk for flood damage. We replace undersized culverts with larger culverts or bridges, opening up habitat, reducing flood damage, and improving landowner infrastructure. Our fish passage barrier assessments have led us to identify 900 barriers and counting. Habitat enhancement work focuses on restoring rivers to better support all life stages and species of native fish. Placed wood jams and boulders create pools and provide refuge from predators and high flows. Reconnected side channels and floodplains allow fish access to more shelter and food. These projects range from very small, where wood structures are installed by hand, to very large, requiring extensive design, permitting, and earth moving. Streamside vegetation is critical to stream health. Trees and shrubs provide shade that keeps water cool, nutrients from leaves and insects, and shelter when trees fall into the river. We partner with landowners to plant streamside vegetation, providing benefits to the river and protecting banks from erosion.
An informed, engaged, and supportive community is critical for the continued progress recovering endangered fish. We offer free outreach events and school programs throughout the region, raising awareness of the threats to native fishes and linking people with their role in salmon recovery. Our students grow their science skills raising salmon in schools, collecting watershed health data, and meeting their fish neighbors while river snorkeling. Our volunteers connect with their local streams by planting trees, monitoring habitat quality, and contributing their experience and cultural perspective to restoration. Our communities become equipped with the knowledge to take actions that benefit fish and watersheds through educational film screenings, speaker events, and visits to local projects. At Cascade Fisheries, we work to share our love of native fish and empower our neighbors to get involved to ensure salmon and steelhead continue their important roles in our culture, economy, and communities. Our work to recover local fish populations would not be possible without you. Whether you're a streamside landowner, an enthusiastic volunteer, or a supportive community member, we need your help. Reach out to us to visit your streamside property, volunteer your time on a project, or donate. From all of us here at Cascade Fisheries, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Breitert, and I am a fisheries biologist working for the Yakama Nation out of the Wenatchee office. Today I would like to provide you with information about the Nason Confluence Habitat Project. This proposed project is located at the confluence of Nason Creek and the Wenatchee River, just below Lake Wenatchee. The red star marks the approximate location on the map. The Nason Confluence Habitat Project is scheduled for construction in the summer of 2021. The project is located on United States Forest Service land adjacent to the Headwaters Pub. The Yakama Nation is committed to restoring native fish runs, and Nason Creek is home to ESA-listed spring chinook, steelhead, and bull trout. This graphic shows a view of the proposed project. The floodplain location is inundated regularly during high water, but provides little salmon habitat for most of the year. We are planning to excavate in an existing side channel in the floodplain to increase water flow and provide excellent year-round habitat for juvenile salmonids. The habitat wood placements are designed to provide cover for fish and aid in channel function. The proposed channel will be approximately 600 feet in length. These graphics are examples of some of the work that went into the development of the Nason Confluence Habitat Project. This project was designed by a licensed engineer to ensure that the project will not increase risk to property or infrastructure. In addition to the safety considerations, we also evaluated the project to ensure that it will function properly as a natural side channel. Over the last decade, the Yakama Nation has installed several side channel projects similar to the Nason Confluence Habitat Project at various locations throughout the Upper Columbia. Those projects have been very successful. In fact, scientific research in the Pacific Northwest has shown that side channel habitat improves salmonid abundance and survival. I would like to thank our partners, the United States Forest Service Wenatchee River Ranger District and the Headwaters Pub. I'd like to provide you with some information about the Skinny Creek Habitat Restoration Project. This proposed project is located near the confluence of Skinny Creek and Chewacum Creek, just west of Tumwater Campground on Highway 2. The approximate project area is outlined in red. The Skinny Creek Habitat Restoration Project is scheduled for construction in the summer of 2021, and the property is owned by the United States Forest Service. The Yakama Nation is committed to restoring native fish runs. Skinny Creek is home to ESA-listed spring chinook, steelhead, and bull trout. In the late 1940s, Highway 2 was constructed, and the lower half mile of Skinny Creek was set into a ditch alongside the highway. In recent years, this section of Highway 2 was relocated as part of the Tumwater Canyon Bridge Replacement Project, but the creek is still located in the ditch. In addition, some fish passage issues have been identified in this reach of Skinny Creek. This graphic shows a view of the proposed project. The goal is to return Skinny Creek to its natural location by removing the old road grade and constructing a stream channel and floodplain for Skinny Creek in place of the decommissioned road. As part of the project, we plan to fix all the fish passage issues and place habitat wood throughout the new channel to provide cover for the fish and aid in channel function. The Skinny Creek Habitat Restoration Project was designed by a licensed engineer to ensure that the project will not increase risk to property or infrastructure. In addition to safety considerations, We also evaluated the project to ensure that it will function properly as a natural creek. Areas like this section of Skinny Creek can be successfully returned to nature and provide good habitat for many years into the future. I would like to thank our partners, the United States Forest Service, Wenatchee River Ranger District, and the Washington State Department of Transportation. Thank you, and please contact me if you have any questions.
Hi, I'm Cody Joe with Trout Unlimited. I'm the Beaver-Powered Restoration Program Manager. You might already know that beavers play an important role in the health of our local streams. They are often called nature's ecosystem engineer. But did you know that state wildlife agencies once parachuted beavers from airplanes in the name of habitat restoration? As far back as 1935, beavers were trapped in the Wenatchee Valley and released in Mission Creek for water storage purposes. Beavers are commonly thought of as a nuisance by landowners, but their infrastructure provides important ecosystem benefits. Beaver dams store water so that we have flow later into our summers. They actually cool this water by creating deep pools and storing water in the soil. They increase the diversity of our stream habitats and ultimately benefit our important local salmonid species. In 2018, Trout Unlimited and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service partnered to develop a beaver project in Chelan and Douglas counties. And while we aren't dropping beavers out of airplanes to harness these dam benefits, we are working towards the same outcomes today as they were in 1935. The goal of the Wenatchee Iniat Beaver Project is to reestablish beavers in tributaries in the Wenatchee River Basin for habitat enhancement, flow augmentation, and storage in order to reduce climate-related impacts. The Beaver Project offers landowner assistance through mitigation techniques, and when those are unsuccessful, beaver relocations. Using non-lethal beaver trapping, we relocate beavers upstream in the watershed, generally on national forest lands, where their ecosystem benefits can be fully realized. We have relocated beavers to areas such as Deep Creek, Minnow Creek, and the White River. In the first 3 years of the project, we have assisted over 30 landowners and relocated over 25 beavers. The Beaver Project also works on private and public lands to build beaver dam analogs, or human-made beaver dams. These analogs allow us to kickstart stream restoration through low-cost, low-impact techniques to harness many of the same benefits of beaver dams. The analogs will begin storing water in the first year, and the hope is that beavers will move in to help maintain the dams for years to come. The project has built 50 beaver dam analogs in our first 3 years. Lastly, the Beaver Project is passionate about engaging the local community in our work. You can often find us at local outreach events. You can even visit our beavers at the Leavenworth Fish Hatchery during the summer months. And you can volunteer for many of the aspects of our work. Projects all over the country are harnessing the powers of these extremely helpful animals. And now that we have established a strong project in our valley, we need your help. Do you have beavers on your property chewing trees or plugging irrigation ditches? Or perhaps you would like beavers returned to a stream or a pond on your property. Do you simply just love these charismatic animals and want to volunteer for the Beaver Project? Please reach out. We want to hear from you. We want to work with you to find the best solutions for both you and the beavers in our valley. The heart of Trout Unlimited's work is engaging local landowners and community members in projects that will have lasting beneficial impacts. Whether that's working with students through our Salmon in the Classroom program, sharing the healing and restorative power of our rivers and streams with our veterans and children, teaching at the Leavenworth Hatchery Salmon Festival, or joining partners in plantings along stream beds. The cornerstone of TU's work in Central Washington is reconnecting historic habitat, improving and modernizing irrigation infrastructure, and ensuring Wenatchee's agricultural base remains strong. Projects in Icicle Creek, Eagle Creek, Chumstick, and the Wenatchee River have helped save water and improve fish passage. We have seen impressive results with salmon, steelhead, and trout easily finding their way to this habitat. TU engages the community through hands-on opportunities. We love working alongside interested community members and businesses on our local habitat projects. Many of these projects involve local schools, where we give students the chance to look at the diversity of the river system and the important role water plays in our valley. Working with local irrigation districts has enabled us to think big, and we are so appreciative of these partnerships. For example, thanks to the Pioneer Water Users Association, the Wenatchee River has seen significant increases in in-stream flow. This project allowed the Pioneer Water Users Association to use less water and led to increased water supply for the city of Wenatchee. While all of TU's water and habitat restoration work is important, none of it happens without collaboration. Working with partners like Cascadia Conservation District and Cascade Fisheries on projects that increase habitat and efficiencies in water use is key to ensuring sustainable water supplies for the future. Through these partnerships, 14 acres of the Peshastin Mill property remained in public ownership. It was an amazing joining of diverse interest groups, including those that fish and recreate in the county. Residents and visitors of the Wenatchee River Valley have a place to fish, hike, and simply enjoy all the Wenatchee River Basin has to offer. TU strives to conserve, protect, and restore Washington's world-class cold water fisheries and their watersheds. We look forward to working alongside you in the future to accomplish this goal.
Hi, I'm Kurt Soper. I'm the Executive Director at the Chelan Douglas Land Trust. The Land Trust is a member-driven, nonprofit organization that works to conserve, care for, and deliver public access to the lands and waters that makes North Central Washington so special. We continue to work in partnership with Chelan County, local landowners, state parks, and the Western Rivers Conservancy on the Nason Ridge Community Forest Project above Lake Wenatchee. This is about 3,700 acres. It's currently owned by the Western Rivers Conservancy, but the goal is to have that property owned and managed by Chelan County for the long term. And a community forest management plan was put together with leadership on the part of the county in the last year. What remains is to secure the final funding that is necessary to transfer the property from the Western Rivers Conservancy to Chelan County. And to that end, a new grant program has been created in the state of Washington, the Community Forest Grant Program, and some 20 to 30 projects have been submitted, and the Nason Ridge project ranks #1 according to the criteria developed by the state. And we'll be working to support appropriation at the state level to get the final funding necessary to complete this project. One of the main tributaries to Nason Creek is Kaler Creek, and the Land Trust was successful in acquiring about an 80-acre parcel in the past year right at the mouth of Kaler Creek, and this area has really good salmon restoration potential. That's something you'll probably see happening on this property into the future. In 2019, a significant restoration project to reconnect an old oxbow to the Nason Creek property where there's salmon spawning going on was completed, the physical work in 2019. In 2020, we went back in there, did some weed control efforts and a significant planting effort, restoration of some of the riparian species along the area that was restored in 2019 with the help of a lot of volunteers and Chelan County. And lastly, we've completed some work in delivering better access and hiking on our White River Preserve up above Lake Wenatchee. Have started construction on a trail, a short walk. We gotta get the parking figured out, but when we do, and you take this walk, you'll end up with a tremendous view of the mountains and the river. So we hope to deliver that in the next year or so.
Hi, I'm Amanda Newell, Education and Outreach Specialist for Cascadia Conservation District. Cascadia Conservation District is a non-regulatory organization dedicated to encouraging the wise stewardship and conservation of all natural resources in Chelan County. Our board and staff members work cooperatively with local landowners and communities to provide technical and financial assistance for soil, water, forest, fish, and wildlife conservation efforts. We serve our community through a wide variety of programs we will discuss in the coming slides. Here's Patrick to get us started.
Hi, my name is Patrick Haggerty, and I'm the Forestry Program Manager at Cascadia Conservation District. Our staff members work with landowners to develop stewardship plans for their property and provide technical assistance to manage natural resources on their land. We offer soil tests and soil management plans, as well as programs to install riparian buffers and fence livestock out of streams to improve stream water quality and quantity. We annually host a Native Planting 101 workshop to help landowners be successful with their planting projects. The workshop is free and it covers planting techniques, weed management, pollinators, and more. Our staff provides technical assistance for irrigation management plans based on individual landowner needs. We offer cost-share programs for irrigation upgrades, including moisture probes, efficient sprinkler heads, and more to reduce water use while improving product.
Cascadia has partnered with Salmon Safe since 2019 and has successfully certified 600 acres in Chelan County, including apples, cherries, berries, vegetables, herbs, and flowers. Salmon Safe is an eco-label environmental certification that works to recognize farms that are being good natural resource stewards by reducing sedimentation, using water efficiently, and practicing integrated pest management to avoid using harmful chemicals. For some growers, the benefit is that their products are recognized on the market as certified salmon safe, prompting customers, restaurants, and grocery stores eager to support such efforts to buy their products. For other farmers, it's the satisfaction they get from knowing and showing that they are contributing to a healthy watershed. Cascadia supports farms by answering questions, gathering documentation to prepare for the Salmon Safe Assessor, covering the assessment fee, and providing marketing support. Cascadia offers free resources to improve backyard gardens and lawns through workshops, soil tests, and site visits. We also have a series of educational materials available on topics such as lawn watering and maintenance with water conservation in mind, composting, including compact composting, container gardening, installing raised garden beds, and more. Cascadia staff teach the importance of farming and gardening to the next generation through hands-on activities with students during after-school gardening programs. Students learn about different types of seeds, fruits, vegetables, soil, watering, and more, and then plant their own school garden. They learn how to tend the garden and then harvest and enjoy the fresh produce with fun recipes Cascadia staff provide.
Wildfire is a fact of life in north central Washington. Although fire is an important part of our natural ecosystem, the effects of wildfire can be devastating to property owners, infrastructure, human life, and local economies. It is important for residents of fire-prone areas like Chelan County to acknowledge the dangers around them and take appropriate actions to protect themselves and their community before wildfire starts. Cascadia offers fuel reduction cost-share programs where landowners receive financial and technical assistance to make their land healthier and more resilient to wildfires. We also offer free roving chipper programs to allow landowners to create defensible space around their homes to help reduce the risk of wildfire damage. Areas burned by a wildfire have the risk of increased erosion, flooding, adding sediment to water bodies, and other natural resource concerns. These issues can cause damage to property and issues for fish and wildlife. We offer fire recovery programs to landowners impacted by fires. Our staff also works with local, state, and federal land managers on large-scale restoration projects that span private and public lands.
Education and outreach is critical to the success of every program we participate in. Educational programming and outreach materials demonstrate how natural environments function, how our activities impact those environments, and how we can best mitigate those impacts. Our Kids in the Creek program is hands-on education that gets high school students into the outdoors to learn how streams and watersheds function. The Kids in the Forest program gets 3rd through 8th graders into the woods to learn about forest health, ecology, and fire. This year's virtual Wheat Week program for 5th grade provides resources for students to grow wheat at home, explore soil, investigate the water cycle, and learn about wheat DNA. During local after-school programs, we host Zoom presentations from around the watershed and provide students with science toolkits to explore with their families. Learn more about all of our programs at cascadiacd.org or by calling 509-436-1601. We are also on Facebook. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Haggerty. I'm the Forestry Program Manager for Cascadia Conservation District, and I co-chair the Outreach Committee for the North Central Washington Forest Health Collaborative.
Hi, I'm Amanda Newell with Cascadia Conservation District and the co-chair of the North Central Washington Forest Health Collaborative Outreach Committee.
The North Central Washington Forest Health Collaborative is made up of a diverse group of interests, including timber industry, conservation organizations, community groups, tribal government, elected officials, and local, state, and federal land managers.
The collaborative works to advance forest health through transparent and science-based actions that improve forest resiliency, preserve terrestrial and aquatic wildlife habitat, protect natural resources, promote utilization of natural resources, and support local economies. Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest makes up nearly 80% of the land base of Chelan County. We use a consensus-based approach to build trust, overcome barriers, and to build the momentum required to increase the pace and scale of forest restoration in Okanagan and Chelan counties.
This includes substantially increasing the forest's restoration footprint, reaching across boundaries through collaborative efforts, developing better integration across disciplines, adapting to changing conditions, and working to include the voice of local citizens in the management of our public lands. So why forest health? Scientific studies have shown the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest is experiencing uncharacteristically severe fires, insect infestations, disease epidemics, and habitat loss due to multiple factors, one of which is exclusion of fire from these landscapes for over 100 years.
Active landscape scale restoration is necessary for forest sustainability and resiliency. Thinning trees, using prescribed fire, and managing wildfire are just a few of the restoration tools essential for stewarding resilient forest landscapes in north central Washington.
You can see the contrast from pre-treatment, which is overstocked, unhealthy forests that pose increased fire hazard, to post-treatment, which renewed understory through thinning and removal of slash.
The North Central Washington Forest Health Collaborative work groups and task forces take deep dives into the barriers that are slowing restoration work down and provide recommendations to the group and the Forest Service for overcoming challenges. The collaborative has been successful partnering with the Forest Service to overcome policy and planning challenges and has played a critical role in bringing new funding to the area to implement projects. Currently, our work groups are engaged in projects to provide diverse stakeholder input to the forest and to build stakeholder consensus around social, ecological, and economic elements.
One example of this is the Upper Wenatchee Pilot Project. The Forest Service has millions of acres to manage in our region with limited funding to keep trailheads open, roads maintained, and complete restoration work. The collaborative secured over $1 million in 2017 to hire contractors to complete environmental analysis on over 75,000 acres near Lake Wenatchee. An analysis which is nearing completion and will be available for public comments on their website within the next month.
Our work groups are also working to increase support for implementation, monitoring, and/or adjusting to changed conditions. We are also conducting targeted outreach and education to increase knowledge about the need for restoration in the region in coordination with community partners. Learn more about our efforts at ncwfhc.org. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pete Tagan, Lead Entity Coordinator for Upper Columbia Salmon Recovery Board, or UCSRB. UCSRB is the regional recovery board in charge of implementing the recovery plan for federally listed Upper Columbia spring chinook, steelhead, and bull trout. We are one of 8 recovery organizations in Washington state. We bring together and support project partners in the Upper Columbia working on recovery efforts. Our board is comprised of 1 commissioner from Douglas, Okanagan, and Chelan counties, and representatives from the Yakama Nation and Colville Confederated Tribes. When salmon were listed in the late 1990s, people in Washington wanted to ensure local support for habitat restoration projects, so the legislature developed the Washington Way. The Washington Way allows community members to help allocate funds to projects that improve habitat condition while also ensuring community support. This is why the UCSRB is comprised of 3 counties, but also why we have the Chelan County Citizens Advisory Committee, or CAC. UCSRB coordinates the Chelan CAC, which is comprised of 7 community members representing counties, cities, conservation districts, tribes, environmental groups, business interests, landowners, volunteer groups, agriculture, or other habitat interests. Each year, the CAC evaluates and ranks habitat restoration projects, then allocates funding to support those projects. The criteria they use include benefit to fish, project longevity, scope, economics, and community support. This approach ensures that local communities have a voice in recovery efforts. To learn more about salmon recovery or the CAC, please visit ucsrb.org. Thank you.